You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's talk about Syracuse basketball recruiting, shall we? Because we just talked about Syracuse football, the positive news with Demetres Samuel Jr. reflipping back to the Orange. Now, let's talk some basketball because the Orange got their second commit in the class of 2025. That's right. The news broke yesterday afternoon, and I am pumped. 6'5", 170-pound, three-star forward from Wisconsin, Aaron Womack. Welcome to Syracuse. He verbally committed once again on yesterday afternoon. Aaron Womack also had offers from UW, Milwaukee, Murray State, UIC, Buffalo, Illinois State, Southern Utah, and UW Green Bay. Now, Womack, this is not a player that is ranked nationally, but he is a three-star prospect over on On3. Once again, he is the second commit in the class of 2025 for Syracuse. Syracuse's other commit in 2025 is none other than five-star forward Sadiq White, who is ranked as high as 15th overall in the country over on ESPN. We have obviously high expectations for Sadiq White when he gets to campus. As far as the overall class of 2025, if you check the On3 rankings right now, they're not necessarily as high as you would expect or what you would want necessarily. Syracuse is 38th overall on On3 with Sadiq White and Aaron Womack. But I'll explain later on that I am optimistic that that ranking will go up. All right. Now, as far as Aaron Womack is concerned, I texted someone pretty high up in the recruiting industry right after the commitment was announced. This is what the high-ranking person had to say. He is, quote, a long wing who can shoot it and score it, switchable defender, not ranked really, but had a really strong summer. Cuse really likes what he can be down the line. All right. My thought on that assessment, honestly, is this is a long-term play recruit right here. This isn't someone necessarily that is going to probably contribute in the 2025-2026 season. So that year, not this year coming up in a couple months, but the following year, right? That would be his freshman season. I doubt it, but you know what? Anything is possible. This is someone that you're hoping can grow to be a really solid contributor by 2026, 2027, etc. This is a developmental recruit right here. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but you know, there are expectations with recruits. Sadiq White, when he comes to campus, there's going to be high expectations for him to produce right away. With Aaron Womack, there's a little bit more time for him to develop. It's just based on the ranking and what this high-ranking recruiting person has to say. All right. So also what Aaron Womack said about Syracuse, there were a lot of messages he gave to On3's Joe Tipton. But in summary, because there's a lot out there, he said all of the right things. All right. He loves the fan base. He loves how the coaches believe in his ability. They break down his strengths. They break down his weaknesses. He also mentioned how he has a strong relationship with the women's coach, Felicia Leggett-Jack. So, hey, everyone's pitching in on the recruiting effort, and that's good to have cross-sport men and women recruiting effort right there. That's a good thing. Found that kind of interesting that they have a strong relationship as well. He also loves how the coaches see him having a lot of potential, right? Syracuse was, based on the offers that I mentioned, Syracuse was the only one that was in the Power 5. So clearly they see something in him, for better or worse, but I'm going to choose to lean for the better. And he said all the right things once again. If you want to check it out, you can go to the On3 website when you're done with this and done watching the podcasts about Demetres Samuel Jr. I'm excited. I'm glad that Syracuse got another player in the boat for 2025. As far as other recruiting news for Syracuse basketball, all right? Start off with a little bit of the bad, but I promise we're going to get to some good, all right? Syracuse, as you may recall, I mentioned this on a couple of podcasts either last week, the week before, whenever I did another recruiting update for you guys, that they were on a couple of final lists, right? It was 4 stars, Derek Dixon and Ryder Frost, but I mentioned on those podcasts that the Orange are not front runners for those prospects. Yes, they're on the final list. That's a good thing. You want to be on final lists. That gives you a chance. They're not the front runners, and as expected, those prospects went elsewhere. Derek Dixon committed to North Carolina, so he's staying in the ACC. And also staying in the ACC with Notre Dame is Ryder Frost. And just a side note with Notre Dame, they're doing pretty well recruiting-wise in basketball now. They're starting to mirror their football recruiting. Very interesting. They're maybe on the come-up. Good for them, I guess, but not good for the rest of the ACC that they're starting to figure it out with basketball again. Now for some good. All right, let's get to some good now. It is October 1st when you are watching this or listening to this or when this episode premiered, right? We are officially on Kiyan Anthony watch. Kiyan Anthony has been really transparent and really honest with his recruitment for quite a while. And I see some fans of Syracuse in particular kind of panicking about it because he hasn't committed to Syracuse yet. And what I would tell those fans is, look, he's been honest. He has said he is not going to commit to a school until October or November. That's what he has said, his own words. He has also said that he is going to take other visits other than Syracuse. All right, keep in mind that the Orange are in his final 6, along with Florida State, Auburn, Ohio State, Rutgers, and USC. And I believe he was actually in USC last weekend on a visit. Having said that, Syracuse is still considered the main leader in the clubhouse for him. They are still the consensus favorite. That's a good thing. Can it change? Sure, it can change. But they are the front runner for Kiyan Anthony, according to pretty much every major recruiting analyst out there. Joe Tipton, Jamie Shaw, 24/7 High School Hoops, Sam Lance, you name it. All right, any of those top recruiting experts, all are pretty much pegging Kiyan Anthony to go to Syracuse. Does it mean it's going to happen? Not necessarily, but those recruiting experts aren't usually wrong. So that is a positive sign for Syracuse basketball. And once again, it's October 1st. We are officially on Kiyan Anthony watch. So Kiyan Anthony, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, whenever you're ready, we're here for you. All right, that's all I'll say. Whenever you're ready, we are here. Also, keep an eye on a number of prospects in the class of 2025. The options are certainly limiting now. They are diminishing as we speak. They're going elsewhere. But Syracuse is still in the running for these 4-star prospects. All right, Shon Abaev, Tyler Jackson, and Asher Elson. They are still in the running for those players in the class of 2025, of course, alongside Kiyan Anthony. All of those recruitments are kind of a mystery right now. With Shon Abaev, it's not, because he's just visiting everywhere right now, and that was pretty much known that he was going to go to plenty of other places. He did visit Syracuse in August, in late August, I should say. But he hasn't released a final list or anything like that. Tyler Jackson, the 4-star guard, his recruitment has been pretty quiet for a while, and same with Asher Elson. It's pretty quiet on those ends, but doesn't mean that Syracuse is out per se. It's just a little bit quiet, and I would say keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on those ones, because Syracuse, with all their offers in the class of 2025 that we definitively know of, with Aaron Womack, honestly, I did not know that they had an offer for him. But with those ones in particular that we know of, those are the only ones that are left on the board for Syracuse basketball. All right, once again, Shon Abaev, Tyler Jackson, and Asher Elson, along with, of course, Kiyan Anthony. Kiyan Anthony watch. It's October 1st. All right, so that is your Syracuse basketball recruiting update. Once again, the Orange get their second commit in the class of 2025 in 3-star forward Aaron Womack. He joins 5-star forward Sadiq White in the class, giving the Orange a top 40 class in the class of 2025. But I imagine that it'll go up when a couple of these recruits hopefully decide to commit to Syracuse.